Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Blowing Smoke podcast with Kimiko Kusanagi. Today's topic, just Kimiko's ghost stories. Just going to be me talking about things I've experienced. So, unless you're a scaredy cat, light up and listen in. So, quick background. This story takes place around 2008. My father is already passed. Brief rundown. My dad was a very ornery Korean War vet. Okay? So he was not a likable person. He did not like people. He didn't even like his own family. So he passes from non-small cell lung cancer. And we had him cremated. I had his ashes for a very, very, very long time. So when I first moved back from Utah to Phoenix, we're not even going to get into that. Just know that I moved from Utah to Phoenix. I bought a house. And subsequently got divorced. And then sold the house. And got a condo. And had my kid basically on weekends and holidays. So at the time, I'm living at the condo. Boyfriend at the time is living at the condo. And some weird crap starts happening. My kid got a karaoke machine previously for like a birthday or Christmas or something like that, and had it at the house, or the condo, which downstairs living room. All bedrooms are upstairs. So we're upstairs asleep, and my kid left the karaoke machine on, left the mic on and stuff, downstairs in the living room. And through the speaker, no shit, woke me up out of a dead sleep, woke boyfriend out of a dead sleep. My name was called. Really, really loud. So we go running downstairs, and of course the kid sleeps through it. And there's nobody there, just the karaoke machine turned on. At one point, the burners on my stove in the condo randomly would go on and then off, possibly, or they just, like, nobody had cooked because we had eaten out or whatever. Middle of the night, boyfriend goes downstairs, and the stove is right next to the refrigerator. So he's leaning on the stove, put his hand on the stove to look inside the refrigerator, and burnt his hand. Nobody had cooked. But that burner was on at one point and hot enough to burn him and leave a mark. But you couldn't tell that it was on. It wasn't red or anything. I don't know. It was really weird. Another time, boyfriend, notice that this is all kind of centering around the boyfriend here, said something negative towards me. And we were both upstairs. Nobody else was there. And a battery, a 9-volt battery, which we don't even know where the hell the fucker came from, flew up the stairs and hit the wall by him. We look downstairs like, what the fuck is that? That's a fucking battery. Where the fuck did that come from? We go downstairs, there's nobody fucking there. It's like, okay. And another time, I had a Bowie knife that I got in Utah, and it was like my protection because I was anti-gun then. Didn't believe in guns, didn't want guns anywhere near me. So I had that stuck up in the door frame, real at the top. Wedged in there pretty good, but, you know, just in case if I needed to grab it or whatever real quick. Yeah, I know, great idea, right? I was young, leave it be. Either way, that knife came out of the wall and literally flew across the room and hit the wall by the boyfriend's head. There's no way for it to just come flying out of the fucking wall. Like, if it was loose, it would have just fallen on the ground, not across the room. Don't know how that shit happened. Either way, got to the point where we ended up moving from the condo to apartments, and we gave the ashes to my mom. And since then, my mom has had the ashes, and she usually keeps it in the closet or whatever, but we haven't had any issues since then. Maybe a couple, random voices here and there where I've thought I've heard my dad a couple times. Other than that, no, nothing else has ever happened. So there's one of Kimiko's ghost stories. Spooky, huh? Not really. But for the sake of this podcast, I'll give you another one. So this was before my father died. I lived in an apartment with my first husband. And when we moved into the apartment, they gave us like a pretty decent deal for the move-in, and they dropped a lot of the security deposit because the carpet was still technically brand new, but even though it was like technically brand new, it just needed a cleaning, so we got a discount. We just had them clean the carpet or whatever instead of replacing the carpet for this 2-bedroom apartment. I was like, well, that's cool. So we move in, and during that time, I was like crazy, super nuts into like crime scene investigation shows and shit like that, like forensic files, cold case files, crap like that. And, you know, for shits and giggles, like right before we moved in, I was like, let's go take a black light and like check every inch of the apartment. Make sure nobody fucking died in there or something. Bad idea. And this apartment was like located on 19th Avenue in Cortez, by the way. I don't even know if that complex still exists or whatever, but yeah, bad area. And there was some spots on the carpet that were quite questionable by the bathroom, like large spots. And I personally think it was luminol. I think that something happened. We asked the apartment people, and they're like, no, it was like a brother and sister used to live in that apartment, and then like the sister died, and the brother got arrested. So I was like, well, how did she die in the apartment? And they're like, no, she died at the hospital. Okay. Weird, right? So we're there about maybe 2 months, and then we start receiving letters from the prison to that address from the brother to the sister. Apparently the brother didn't know the sister died. And it was really weird. And I was like, okay. We're gonna try to contact her. Let's see if maybe like she's still here in the apartment, because like it was a weird apartment. Like, it had a really weird feeling. It's very eerie. And Dakota at the time had the second bedroom and insisted on sleeping in our bedroom because there was a witch at the window. Is what he was so small at the time, and that's all he could say was, there's a witch at the window, there's a witch at the window. I was like, okay. So you can stay in here, that's fine. And then we ended up like letting one of my husband's friends move in to the other bedroom later, but at that time there was nobody in that bedroom. And yeah, I was in my 20s, so you know, I did drink occasionally. I'm not saying that I didn't, but yeah, we had our fucked up times. But I did see keys and other items that were on top of my entertainment center like slide and move, and I chalked it up to, okay, you know, I'm just fucking drunk, just seeing shit, right? And then we started getting the letters, and then I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna try to contact it. I actually ended up like calling 2 or 3 different paranormal investigation groups in Arizona, trying to get them to come out there and like check this shit out, so that I didn't have to do it myself. But you know, they get crazy booked, and they don't have a lot of time to come out, or you know, whatnot, and they're just like, hey, could you do this, this, and this, and then give us a call back, and if it's like really, really important, we'll come out and stuff like that. It's some bullshit, right? So I don't know what possessed me to do it, but we decided on automatic writing, where you take your pen and put it in your non-dominant hand, and you draw circles on a paper and ask questions. Eventually, those circles give you an answer. Like, you start writing an answer instead of circles. So we did that, and we contacted her, technically, and basically she knew she was dead. She died in the bathtub, or she thought she died in the bathtub. Apparently they said that she died in the hospital. That is not blood on the carpet, but like baby powder or some other type of powder that they use to, dust for fingerprints and shit like that. But it was not blood. But she said that she was there. Wanted to stay there because that was like the last place that she was like super happy. She loved that apartment. She was quite happy there. And I was like, well, that's good, I guess. And she's like, well, as long as you're here, like I will do in my best to like protect whoever lives in this apartment. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but after that I didn't really think about it. And then we got in a really bad car accident in 2002 to the point where my Toyota Camry was smushed in the front. We ended up T-boning a lady that turned left in front of us when she shouldn't have been turning left. So we go through the light. It was yellow. She decides to turn last minute, and we T-boned her. Though it was her fault, our car was totaled to the point where the engine was sitting in my husband's lab. My son, who was sitting behind me, hit so hard that his face was bleeding, and he was in a car seat. I had really bad powder burns and bruising from the seatbelt. But that's it. We literally walked away with just some minor scratches when the cops literally came in, and probably not the best thing to say to somebody who was in an accident, but you guys should have died. That was a bad enough car crash where you guys all should have been dead, and none of you are, and you should be thankful. And I was like, what the fuck? And in all honesty, I think that the ghostie had something to do with that. Maybe she was our little guardian angel or whatnot, because it was not our time. We all should have been dead, and we weren't. That's a pretty good story there for you guys, right? Let's see. When I worked at, not going to name it, but a haunted house, and that location no longer exists at the moment, but the building that was used was an old grocery store, and nothing technically happened there, but let's just say when you get props and other pieces from hospitals and shit that close down and other places that people donate and stuff, things can be attached to objects. And I 100% believe that there was some shit attached to that place, and that the objects that were there, the sets, especially in the hospital type setting, because there was hospital tables and old x-rays, the x-ray or the thing, the light that you put the x-rays on, and a whole bunch of medical equipment and stuff like that. And honestly, things attach itself to that. And there were so many stories of people either getting touched, seeing things. We had our house ghosts, basically, the ones that were seen, which there's a little girl, tall man, a few other ones. And I had a couple experiences there. One was upstairs in the makeup area. My booty was touched, but there was nobody behind me. I had the last section area of makeup, so there'd be other makeup artists down the line, way in front of me, so I was the last person. So there was nobody there to touch my booty, but my booty got touched. It was weird. And then I went to go get my check one year, and this was after everything is already finished, so the whole entire place is dark, everything's turned off. I was just, waiting by the office to go get my check, and the manager at the time was way, way, way in the back, so I'm yelling across the haunt, and he's like, oh, hey, I'll be there in a minute, just wait there. So I'm just patiently waiting and stuff like that, and I could hear one of the animatronics just going off. There's this monster, and it goes, and moves its arms and shit like that. There was no lights on. You couldn't see the lights where the monster was. You could, but there was nothing on. But you heard it. So when he got there, I was like, hey, are the animatronics and all that stuff's on? He's like, no, everything's turned off. All the airlines, everything, the lights, everything's turned off. Hence, me walking around with a flashlight and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, Okay. But, like, I was sitting here waiting, and I told him, like, I heard it. It was rah, 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 making noises and stuff. And he's like, oh, they do that. Ghosts like to mess with you. That's just them letting you know that they remember you. And I was like, oh. He's like, yeah, you'll get used to that. And in all honesty, yeah, I did. Like, 7 years of working there, I got pretty used to it. More stories like that to come, but not so much today, okay? But, yeah. So, ghost stories with Kimiko. Hope you enjoyed those. And I'll see you for the next episode. Don't know what we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. Just still getting back into the gist of everything. But anyways, like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. And stay creepy like Kimiko Kusanagi, okay? Bye!